So in this video, I'm going to show you how to get set up with your dink practice. Now we've already learned that foundational forehand swing shape, which we can transfer across to all shots on the forehand side, including dinks, drops, serves, and volleys. So for our dinks, we're going to take that same technique, but we're going to shorten and compact the swing slightly. The reason for that is when we hit our dinks, we're sending that ball over a shorter distance, so we need to keep that ball under control. Also, the ball is going to be coming back to us much faster than when we're further back in the court. So that's why we need our shot to be shorter and faster to react. So the first thing you want to get set up is the height. So you can see here, I've actually set mine up on the lowest setting, and that's because generically when we hit our dinks, that ball is going to be a little bit lower. So next thing we want to check is that we're getting the correct contact point and spacing like we did with our forehand. So measure your distance, make sure you're not too close to the ball. Get that contact point somewhere in front of that front foot. So with our dinks, we're looking for that much shorter action. We're keeping it compact so that we're ready for that ball to come back fast. So our action is actually really going to be from the contact point with a mini follow through. There's really barely any backswing at all. So we're going to start in our contact point here, and then we're just going to lift the edge of the paddle just above the top screen. So you can see that I'm getting the ball to roll. I'm getting a good amount of spin just by lifting that paddle up the back. Now, with our forehand, we talked about stepping into the ball. With our dinks, we're going to have a variety of different footwork. Sometimes we might be reaching for a wider dink. Sometimes we might have to step forward to reach. And other times we might be more static with our footwork. So for the first drill, we're actually going to practice stepping in. So once you've got the hang of this contact point, if you repeat about 30 of those with parallel feet, contact point lift, looking for that good amount of spin, practice about 20 or 30 of those, and then we're going to move back ever so slightly, and this time we're going to go from our ready position. So it's ready position, step, contact point, lift, ready position, contact point, lift, contact point, lift. So we're keeping that action nice and short. You can see that I'm not really taking my paddle back at all. I'm just going from the ready position and the contact point and then through, just to keep that ball under control. So again, do about 20 or 30 of these. And then for the third progression, we're going to make that footwork more realistic. So do 20 or 30 where you're actually stepping in with your non-dominant foot, as I was just doing there. And then move away from the ball ever so slightly. We're going to start ready position. This time we're going to take a step to the ball with our dominant leg, hit, and then return. Hit and return. Just so you're getting used to taking that step out. Because generally when we're playing, we're going to be moving along the kitchen line, not necessarily moving up to the ball as often as we would with the generic forehand. So ready position, step and hit. Ready position, step and hit. As you go back to the middle, you're driving your body weight off that dominant leg to recover back to the middle. So do about 20 or 30 of those, and then go back to practicing 20 or 30 from a static position. So quite often when we're up at that kitchen line, we don't actually have to move very far to reach the ball. We're just shifting our weight from side to side. So keep those feet parallel, contact point, finish, and then as you come through to that finish, shift that body weight back to the middle. Just ready position, hit. You can see that my weight is shifting from my dominant leg back to the middle. Middle, middle. So once you've got a hang of those three main footwork patterns, step and hit with the non-dominant leg, step and hit dominant leg, and then fairly static feet where you're just shifting your weight. So that will cover most of the scenarios that you'll have when you're up at the kitchen line as a beginner or an improver player. So once you feel like you've mastered the dink on the forehand side, you can then transfer that skill over to the backhand. So whether you want to use two hands or one hand, the technique is still the same. So you want to set yourself up so that your contact point is the same as on the forehand side. It wants to be just in front of the front foot. Get that spacing, practice getting that spacing correct. And then we'll repeat the same drill. So begin with parallel feet and exactly the same. You're starting on that contact point and just lifting above, trying to get the same amount of spin on that backhand side. So that's whether you're using two hands or one hand. We're just looking to get that roll up the back of the ball. And then you're going to repeat the drill from your ready position to step and hit, ready position, step and hit, and then those other footwork patterns too, where we're stepping out to hit, back to the ready position, out to hit, and then also with our more static parallel feet. So you want to get to a point where you're feeling comfortable or equally comfortable with your dinks on both the forehand and the backhand wing.